Well, ladies and gentlemen, obviously many Republicans are now a little bit afraid, a little bit nervous about the state of the 2024 election with Kamala Harris getting this huge so-called boost after she became the nominee without a single ballot being cast. But I mean, they're trying to save democracy. They tried to assassinate Trump because they were losing in the polls to him. And now they blackmailed their incumbent president, and they've put up someone that's received no votes. But that's going to save democracy. That is amazing from the Democratic Party. But let's just take a step back for a second and let's look at the history here. This is the betting, and this is probably the best up to the minute thing when you look at this. We're also going to take a look at some of the Real Clear Politics data that's come in. Trump versus Kamala, and it's actually very good for Trump because this is her major boost, and we've still got ties in the Rust Belt. We've still got Trump winning Arizona by 4 or 5 points. We've got huge positive swings in voter registration in both Arizona and Pennsylvania. We will see who Harris picks for VP. Or I guess I should say the Democratic Party, because I doubt she's going to make the decision on that. But guys, look at this. Back in April, this was, semi to late April. Number one, we saw Trump was up in terms of betting by 16 points in terms of the overall betting over Biden, to be the president. And Trump lost that lead in the span of about a month. That's with us understanding that Biden had the worst approval rating we've ever seen. That's with us knowing that Biden's ridiculously old. Yes, it was before the debate. But even if I look at this, when was the debate? Oh no, Trump was already up pretty significantly then. But the point of this is that Biden did go ahead of Trump relatively recently. It's not like Trump's been up by 15, 20 points overall in terms of betting chances throughout this entire cycle. And now they put Kamala in, and oh my God, now Kamala's made up so much ground. No, Biden was, at a certain point beating Trump. This is just the ebbs and flows of an election cycle, of an election season with Harris. And then you see this and you're like, oh my God, look at Harris zooming way up. Well, yes, Biden got screwed where he had basically a split Democratic Party. No one was voting for him in any of the polls because you've got many top Democrats saying Biden should step down. And so that's why Biden's numbers became so bad. And now I would imagine this is probably going to get even closer in terms of the chances because they've rallied around Harris. All of them have bought into it. And it's all this fake, momentum, $100 million that they raised, most of it apparently illegal. It's very sad what they're doing. But this does not scare me at all. I mean, people have to calm down. There are 2 states I'm a little bit worried about that I do want to talk about, but I just wanted to show this as a representation. Look at how much Biden was down by 16, and then he led a month later, or 2 months later. This is just the election season. It is what it is. Trump obviously went way up. That was when they were in a real big problem with both Biden and Harris. Nobody knew which one it was going to be, so with betting, it's kind of hard to speculate like that. Biden goes down to 18%, and now obviously Biden's going to be at 0%, considering he is completely dropping out and not running again. But I think people need to calm down. It is not a big deal. I've said this since Harris came in. Trump said it last night. It is the perfect retort. It's the fact that she was one of the most unlikable vice presidents in history up until about 7 days ago. And now the funding apparatus, the mainstream media, the sob stories, it's all come around. She is not likable. She has been, the AI admitted she's a socialist and borderline communist. The AI is like, the robot's like, you're just giving me all this stuff. I'm looking up her record. This is crazy. I have to admit, she's a freaking communist. Of course, none of that matters. None of what she wants really means anything. She has no leg to stand on within the Democratic Party. She is another puppet because she can't even say, I want a primer or anything like that. Nobody voted for her for this role, and she was picked. We all know DEI. You had black dudes on TV in 2020 threatening Biden, saying you better pick a minority female. Biden came out and said, I am going to pick a female because it's important for representation. And that was during the whole BLM thing. And Kamala was the only minority female option. There were other female options like Whitmer and someone else, but that's really how that happened. So I would not be worried about this at all. We will take a look at some of the recent polls and just go down the list here. When it comes to Fox News, I think these are good polls for Trump. Wisconsin, Trump +1. Michigan and Pennsylvania, you do have ties. People say, well, that's a lot closer because Trump was routinely up by 4 or 5. Hell, in Pennsylvania, I said it was a Trump lean about 3 weeks ago because the numbers we were getting were just so crazy in terms of being positive for Trump. Now you see it a lot closer, but that's because of the hype, the new candidate, the early honeymoon. That's just what this is. So I'm not worried about that. Again, these are good numbers. You have to remember with Wisconsin, Trump overperforms polling in Wisconsin pretty much better than any other state. Remember back in 2020, Quinnipiac, when they were really bad, they put out a poll in October, like 2 weeks before the election, that had Biden up by 17 points in Wisconsin, and Trump lost it by less than a point. So Trump always overperforms the polls. I'm not saying that's guaranteed to happen again, and they cope and they cling to the midterm polling error, which really wasn't much of an error at all when you factor in the overall popular vote and also all the crap going on with their, I mean, they got so much illegal money from Sam Bankman-Fried in 2022 that probably swung it, honestly. The polls were pretty accurate, I think, but you get like all that illegal money from Bankman-Fried, it's going to do some stuff for you. So Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, I'm not too worried about. Minnesota is a little bit worrying. Now, I did see a poll last night that had Harris up by 10 in Minnesota. 6 I can deal with. 6 is still within shouting distance, but we were really working, and it was a long process, but Trump turned Minnesota into a pure swing state. There were polling experts that were admitting Trump probably had like a 53, 54% chance to win it. He was the favorite for a time before Biden dropped out. And it is sad to see that. It's like, they just get to insert a new candidate and they get the state. But look, 6 is not horrible, but that's not what you want to see. We're going to need more polling out of Minnesota, but that's not ideal. Wisconsin, when you include everyone, so this is the thing. People keep thinking that Trump automatically helps Kennedy. It's really not the case. Now, if Kennedy does drop out in mid-September, like I expect, or sometime around there, I do think he probably helps Trump by about a point. But people, they just assume that this 5% from Kennedy is going to go to Trump. It's just not the case at all. They won't vote. A lot of them won't vote. Some of them will vote for Stein, maybe West. A few of them probably will vote for Harris, even if Kennedy endorses Trump. That's just the way it is. And then there will be a portion of them that will vote for Trump. Maybe it'll help him by 1% or 1.5%. That's very important. We would really appreciate RFK Jr. dropping out, with Trump possibly giving him a cabinet position. That'd be very good for Trump, obviously. Michigan, you include all of them, Trump does go up 2. But Pennsylvania, if you include all of them, Harris goes up +2. So it's very hard to see if RFK helps or hurts Trump right now, because some of the polls say he helps him. Some of them say he hurts him. Minnesota, with everyone involved, still up 6. They do have this poll. They've got that Minnesota poll that I said Harris up 10. I didn't think they would include that pollster. General election poll, Wall Street Journal, Trump +2. Amazing numbers for a head-to-head battle, with Harris getting all this support, all this fake hype. Trump still sitting +2. Another general election, you include everyone, Harris goes to +1, so that's a 3-point swing. But I wouldn't take too much stock. These are both within the margin of error. They're polling different people. It's just, it's still 3.5 months, 4 months before the election. Another interesting thing that I saw is Biden's approval rating is actually going up. And I wonder if that's just because people are starting to feel bad for him. It's Democrats who had hated him because he wasn't dropping out and he was being stubborn, but now that he has, they like him again. Obviously, it's meaningless what happens to his approval rating. He's not running. We're not going to be looking at that too much, but it is an interesting component to see Biden's approval rating start to go back up, because a lot of the Democrats that said he was selfish, they're now very happy he is dropping out. Little do they know, he wanted to stay in. The only reason he's dropping out is because he got blackmailed. They said they were going to do the 25th Amendment, possibly the Her tapes. It was real bad. That's the reason why he ended up dropping out. You do also have more polls. This, I guess they forced everyone to vote because it does add up to 100, or they just found one with like that. Trump +2, very good news there. From Forbes, you include everyone, goes down to a tie. Michigan, you have everyone. This is a Detroit News poll, Harris +1. This is the big issue with New Hampshire, Harris +6. When you start seeing +6, +10, that's not great. I still think, this is a state that has a smaller population. I think this is very interesting about New Hampshire. RFK normally performs very well in New Hampshire in terms of the polls. I've seen him get like 20, 21%. So if he endorses Trump, I think that's going to help him significantly in New Hampshire. We're arguing about 4 electoral votes, let's be real, but still. Look at this disapproval, 7. That's a good number for Biden. 18, not so much. But those are just the recent polls. And then Thursday, you do have New York Times coming out saying Trump is +1. That's a general election poll. Those are good numbers. See, a lot of these polls, when you include everyone, it's just weird to me that it's hurting Trump a lot. Because Stein and West, West is getting 0%. That's good. That's definitely smart by the liberals to have West at 0%, because I mean, I'd appreciate West being at 2 or 3% personally. Maybe he will be. I think he'll probably be at 1%. But certainly, if you're a liberal, there has to be a major campaign against West, saying it's a wasted vote, talking about how Trump's this horrible person. No, guys, it does make sense. Trump's going to put us all in camps. He was president for 4 years, didn't do anything close to that, but now he's going to do it. He's had a kumbaya moment, right? It makes total sense. Remember when they ask, I mean, these people keep asking me, are you going to accept the results of the 2020 election? I don't know. Are liberals going to accept the 2016 election results with the Russian gate and everything like that? That's all you have to say to them. It's just ridiculous. I don't know if there's blatant cheating. No, I'm not going to accept the result. Like, what do you want me to say? Arizona, Georgia, these were good numbers from Emerson. Arizona, Trump +5, Georgia, Trump +2. There's some dialogue going around that possibly Harris does a lot better in Georgia and Minnesota. Those were 2 states, and also New Hampshire, but Georgia's going to be one to watch. Trump has been beating Biden easily by 4 or 5 points on average. He won he was leading like the last 12 or 13 polls that came out. Michigan, Trump +1, Pennsylvania, Trump +2. Obviously, when it comes to a state like Pennsylvania, we are watching Josh Shapiro possibly being the VP. I can pretty much guarantee you if Shapiro is the VP, they will say, oh, Pennsylvania is either a pure toss-up, which it kind of is already, or potentially a slight Harris lean. Pennsylvania is the most important state for both parties, but the Republicans have so many more paths. They can lose Pennsylvania and still very easily win with many different paths. Wisconsin is tied right now in that poll, the Emerson poll, and then you include everyone, and this is good news for Trump. Everyone included. Trump goes +8, so you would think if RFK drops out, Trump would possibly move to +5 or +6 at least. Republicans have a huge registration advantage in Arizona. I would be very surprised at this point if they lost that state. Georgia, Trump sitting +3 right now. Could be a very close state. We will see. Pennsylvania, Trump is +2. I mean, these are great numbers for Trump. I'm not understanding the huge issue here. This is with Harris with all the hype, the most hype she's ever going to have in this campaign. They all coalesce around her, and she's the new candidate. And so, you know, it was a split party. Now they're together and they're singing Kumbaya for Harris. And it just, remember, she was extremely disliked. She did not earn this. She didn't win a single primary vote, and it was total DEI. And Trump needs to hammer that. There's so many things you can go at Harris when it comes to a potential debate. And like I said yesterday, I do think Trump will be debating Harris twice, one time in September, one time in October. All Trump said was that he wanted to make sure Harris was the official nominee, and apparently they're doing that via Zoom, or they're doing it remotely before the DNC. They're doing the delegates and everything like that. So Trump is waiting for that, and then I do think he will debate Harris probably twice. One of the debates will be on Fox News. The other one will be probably ABC, because that's what they're talking about. That would be my expectation right now. One in September, one in October. Are the debates going to be problematic for Trump? Well, the main issue is this, and I'm already going to call this out because, and I've said this before, the Democrats will compare Kamala Harris's debates to Biden's debate on the 27th of June, which is obviously completely disingenuous, but she's going to, of course, perform better than Biden did, and they'll be like, well, she was so much better than Biden. I guarantee you that's what they'll say. And then they'll be like, well, she did good against Trump. So Trump, in terms of the debate, I mean, there is so much to attack Harris on. I think the number one thing, and the Democrats brought it on themselves. They said this was, they were trying to save democracy, and they blackmail their own incumbent president who won the primaries with like 98% of the vote. They blackmail him because they think he's going to lose into dropping out when he says, no, I'm not dropping out. He says it 10 times. They blackmail him because they think he's going to lose, and they install Harris, the VP, who did not win a single vote in any primary. Going back to 2020, actually had a big funding apparatus in 2020 where she did a huge announcement that she was running in California, got a bunch of money, and still couldn't even make it to Iowa for the first primary. So this is the party that's trying to save democracy. Look at what they're doing. It is absolutely insane. So if I was Trump, that's what I would say. And Trump's sitting right now at a 55% chance. You know what? I've maintained the same belief with Trump. It's just so crazy what's happened recently. They're literally hoping Trump dies or gets killed or something. And many Democrats have come out and said that. That's another thing Trump can use. They love democracy, yet they've endorsed the potential assassination of a political opponent because he's beating them in the polls. And so many of them came out, they threw fits because the bullet missed and they knew it was going to make Trump look like a badass. And now they're actually saying they're happy it happened because they think there's going to be copycats that do it. This is how deranged they are, but they're going to save democracy. Democrats have told me, I now know what democracy is. Democrats just told me this. They said, democracy is if you're losing to your political opponent, you can try and assassinate him. If that doesn't work, and your current choice, who won all the primaries, if he's getting crushed by your political opponent, you can take him out with 0 votes, install someone that has received 0 votes in any primary, and then maybe Harris will do better than Biden, and that's what democracy is. So they've just told me, this is, I didn't even know what democracy was until now. Wow. They have told me what democracy is. And then, oh my God, I love the whataboutism when it comes to what these people are talking, just how evil they are with Trump, hoping he died. I had said the Sunday after it happened, that, if Trump would have died, they would have thrown parties. And they don't even deny it. They're like, yeah, we would have. That's how disgusting it is. And it's all radicalization from the mainstream media. That's exactly why Crooks did it. It's come out now. He's a far left liberal. I've proved it with videos, and it's all over Gab and everything like that. But no, he was radicalized by Trump. Yeah, how about all the people? How about Rachel Maddow saying Trump was going to put her in a camp? Which is obvious. She knows it's ridiculous. Everyone does, but that's the type of stuff. Trump's going to kill democracy. He's going to run a dictatorship. And then they tried to weasel their way out of that when that's the reason that's why Crooks did it. They said Trump was Hitler for 8 years. And then the day after the assassination attempt happens, the Lincoln Project puts out a minute video where it's literally the first 45 seconds are Hitler and then comparing Hitler and saying this is now Trump. And then they're like, Trump's rhetoric caused him to get shot. And then remember the whataboutism with Paul Pelosi? Listen, if you haven't heard this, so Republicans were like, this is totally ridiculous. Why are they celebrating this? It's disgusting. You're horrible people. And then they're like, well, Paul Pelosi, you made fun of Paul Pelosi. Now, let me just say this. I never made fun of Paul Pelosi, whatever, but apparently the Hammer situation, there were Republicans making fun of it, but just the idea that you could compare Trump, I wonder who's more important in terms of the future of America, Paul Pelosi, who's never won a single thing, who's not in any office, or Trump? Who do you think is more important? Why do you think Republicans were more pissed off? Trump was a millimeter away from dying, and they're like, but you made fun of Paul Pelosi, so it's fair. Yeah, let's compare Paul Pelosi to Trump. Have the Democrats ever elected Paul Pelosi to anything? The Republicans, on the other hand, have given Trump 3 straight. They've 3 straight primary wins. It's historic. He's been the nominee 3 straight times. So no shit, Republicans are going to be a little bit pissed off that you tried to kill the most important political figure right now in the United States. But Paul Pelosi, who we've never elected and we really don't care about, but we're going to try and use this for political leverage against people hoping that Trump died. This is all crap. They wanted Trump to die. They still want him to die. If something actually happens to Trump, we're going to need someone like Vivek to step up and this is going to be real bad because they've made their opinion known on what they want to have happen to Trump. A lot of them have said, they've said it. They have said it. And most of their party agrees. Some of them are too smart to actually admit it. The dumb ones, like the people in public who are getting fired from their jobs, they're the ones that do admit it. And by the way, when it comes to these models, the forecast models, they really can't update still because they need more data. They need more info on all the states, especially the swing states. I'm guessing they need at least 4 or 5 polls to have an actual, analysis. So this is another model that is saying, you can see the last time it updated was July 18th. So it's almost been 10 days. So all of these models are the same thing. This is Biden versus Trump. I never used to use this. I think this is Decision Desk or The Hill or something. Yeah, this always was crap. These were not the numbers. I don't know. Georgia was not a swing state when it was Trump versus Biden. Trump was up in the last 20 polls. Give me a break on that. Same thing with Nevada. Same thing with Arizona. And you could also argue Pennsylvania as well. Also, Maine's at large was a swing state with Trump. Minnesota was a swing state with Trump. That's why I never used it. This was a sham formula. But I'm just saying in general, the formulas still haven't come out, so it's probably going to take another week for the formulas to come out just in terms of that. So, but really right now, I just want to say these are not bad numbers for Trump. This is Harris's big rally. You know, she's got all this fake support. She's extremely unlikable. I have said for months, if it was another candidate, as long as it was not Michelle Obama, I would not be worried. I am not worried at all that it's Kamala Harris. She was extremely unlikable. This whole idea where they rally behind her, this is just fake hype, and it will die down. So that is my current message, and that's what honestly a lot of people are saying. We've seen it all the time. I know people are worried, well, what about some of these states like Minnesota? You know, we can talk about that. Even if he loses Minnesota, it really doesn't matter. He still very likely will win. It's not a huge state. It was just like, well, he's actually performing well against Biden. It might not be the same case versus Kamala Harris because the demographics in terms of the race have changed, and we'll have to see who she picks for VP. But this is not a time where you have to be extremely worried or anything like that. Just calm down. Donald Trump, again, these just are the election. It ebbs and flows. You know, when you've got the AI coming out and saying this woman's a borderline communist, these people we do not elect people like this at all. I'm just telling you right now, the Rust Belt, there's no way. There's no way. And I know they're going to try and do like Josh Shapiro or Mark Kelly and try and get like masculine and try and like appeal to the Rust Belt. I highly, 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 highly doubt she wins a single Rust Belt state. It's just Kamala Harris from California who didn't get a single primary vote. So I guess we'll see, man. But either way, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.